What is going on, everyone? My name is Andy. Welcome back to another FPL video. It's double upload day. I wasn't expecting it to be, but after doing the transfer tips video earlier, we now have a double game week announcement. Not one, but two. We've got double game week 31, double game week 33. In this video, I'm going to do like an initial reaction, initial thoughts, talk you through what's being announced, what's guaranteed to happen, and what we're still waiting for some information on from the FA Cup and how that's going to then work for our FPL teams and stuff like that. So if you enjoy it, give it a like, hit that subscribe button as well if you are new around here. So double game week 31 is very simple. This is going to happen barring any crazy postponements as normal, like weather or COVID or something like that. These games will double. So Burnley's game versus Everton has been rearranged. So in game week 31, Burnley will now play Man City at home and Everton at home. And Everton will have two away games, West Ham away and Burnley away. Now, initial reaction is probably, this is rubbish double game week. It doesn't matter. I've got to be honest, this is really going to test my always captain a double game week player because I don't know about captaining a Burnley player when Man City's involved. And Everton players are just like a no-go zone for me right now. So it might just have to be Salah at Watford at home, even with a double game week. I'm going to give that some thought. I don't need to decide right now. But yeah, Everton are tricky. Defence just don't interest me at all, really. Maybe Pickford. And then obviously up front, you've got Calvert-Lewin. He hasn't had a run in the team for a long time. And then you've got a lot of players to fit a lot of other slots, like Gordon, Richarlison, Gray, Townsend, etc. There's just no one that stands out. Gordon is probably the best option right now just because he's a cheap enabler. So you play him for the double and then let him rot on your bench after that until kind of the next double or whatever. But Everton don't really float my boat. I wouldn't say excited is probably a bit extreme, but I am probably a little bit more excited about Burnley, mostly because I think Weghorst, you are pretty much guaranteed to have him play every single week, whereas Calvert-Lewin, I just don't know what's going on there right now. That might change by game week 31, but right now I think I'd rather have Weghorst. Now, the double in 31 isn't necessarily ideal because one of the fixtures is Man City, so I appreciate that. So what a lot of people are going to think, Everton at home is good, the other fixture's pretty rubbish, Man City at home. But when you factor in appearance points and stuff like that, maybe the very, very slight chance of a goal or assist in that game and then decent returns against Everton, I think that's okay. What I like about Burnley, you could look at Nick Pope maybe as well, is they have Norwich in game week 32, which is just a good fixture. And in game week 33, they're going to double again. And that is why I quite like them. So Weghorst is definitely, both of these teams, probably at the top of my list to bring in. Because for those of you who are like me, who've got someone like Jimenez up front, Jimenez to Weghorst doesn't only get you 5 fixtures over 3 game weeks. So 31, 32 and 33. Burnley are going to have 5 fixtures. It also gets you a bit of extra money to spend elsewhere. So I quite like that move. I'm not expecting loads of points from Weghorst, but I've got to be honest, he probably will be my transfer in now in game week 31. But it is initial thoughts and reaction, and plans could change. Then we get on to the maybe more interesting stuff, game week 33. Now, it's not that complicated, but you're going to have to follow along. So we have some teams with guaranteed doubles, and we have some teams that might double, and that is all dependent on the FA Cup, which I'll come on to in a second. But these are the 5 teams that are definitely going to double. So you've got Man United against Norwich at home and Liverpool away. Again, it's a bit like Burnley. It's not ideal because one of the games is against Liverpool, but the other one is Norwich at home. So it could be pretty decent. Some of you are going to free hit in game week 33. You probably would have 1, maybe 2 Man United players. I'm thinking the likes of Sancho are playing well right now, maybe a defender as well. But they're not necessarily players that you'd want to bring in for the long term. At least they don't seem like that right now. Again, Burnley, West Ham away and Southampton home. Again, that double game week in isolation, it's okay. West Ham away, Southampton at home. It's probably nothing to get too excited about because it's Burnley. But when you factor it in with another double game week before and Norwich in between, I quite like it. I think Nick Pope, Weghorst are definitely options. Leicester is Newcastle away, Everton away. Now, Leicester have a lot of games to rearrange. They've still got another 2 or 3 games to rearrange after this double game week. So a lot of us are going to be looking at Leicester. I think what we really need is for Leicester to go out of Europe, because the longer they stay in Europe, they don't really have too much to play for in the Premier League, and that means that there could be a lot of rotation. Maddison's missed games recently, had a bit of a knock. Can you rely on Barnes to start every game? Vardy's injured. Will Daka or Iheanacho start? There's just loads of question marks over Leicester players. Who's going to start every week, and how much rotation will there be with Europe, and who's just going to play back-to-back games as well? Even in defence, Amati's playing, he's cheap. Fofana could be back soon. Luke Thomas is playing left-back. Maybe he's fairly nailed, but James Justin is around as well. So there's just a lot of question marks. I mean, Schmeichel, for example, for a goalkeeper option, could be your best bet if you really wanted a Leicester kind of defensive player, right? There's just a lot of question marks. We might know more by the end of this week when they play their European game before game week 30. But ultimately right now, they're a little bit tricky to call. Brighton, no go. Spurs away, Man City away, doesn't interest me at all. No Brighton players I'd want to bring in. I'm just discounting them right now. And then Newcastle, Leicester at home, Palace at home. 2 home games, which isn't bad. They're obviously playing well. I mean, could you see 1 clean sheet in Leicester or Palace at home? I think maybe. Like, I've got Dubravka, and I'd happily play him in it. If I don't free hit, and again, I'll come on to that later, I'd happily play Dubravka against Leicester and Palace at home. I think it's okay. Whether you'd want to bring in an attacker like Saint-Maximin, Chris Wood, etc., what I'm going to do is once the FA Cup results have happened, and we know kind of all the fixtures up until kind of game week 33 and like maybe 34, 35 as well, I'm going to take a closer look at what players we might want to go for. Like, what fixtures do they have before the doubles? What fixtures do they have after? It just didn't seem worthwhile doing in this video because although these teams are guaranteed doubles, other teams aren't. And so you'd be talking about players and then you might not want those players if another player doubles, etc. It just gets a bit confusing. So for this one, I'm keeping it simple. These 5 teams, Man United, Burnley, Leicester, Brighton, Newcastle, all definitely doubling. Now, one thing, before I talk about the rest of the teams that might double, this is the FA Cup draw. Now, the FA Cup matches are happening this weekend. That's why there's so many games postponed for game week 30, because those teams are either playing in the FA Cup or they are the opponents who is playing in the FA Cup, right? So Chelsea, for example, were playing Norwich in game week 30. Chelsea can't play, they're playing FA Cup, so neither can Norwich, right? We all know that by now. I've highlighted Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool in green because they are the information we are still waiting on. They're also the favourites. The Palace versus Everton game doesn't matter from an FPL point of view, but the other games do. So if Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool win, which you'd expect them to, right? Liverpool are playing Nottingham Forest, Chelsea are playing Middlesbrough. Although Middlesbrough have knocked out Man United and Spurs, I'm not saying they're as good as Chelsea, but who knows? Could they go for the hat-trick and knock out 3 pretty big Premier League teams? Maybe. I think Man City have got the toughest game against Southampton. But if we say that all 3 of those will win, then some interesting stuff happens. So let me try and explain it now. So these are the other possible double game weeks. Arsenal and Southampton is a likely double game, right? If you follow Ben Crellin, that's what he said, because it relies on Man City beating Southampton in the FA Cup. So hopefully you can read it, but I've put the kind of stipulation below. The different colours, hopefully are following along. The fixtures in white are definitely on in game week 33. The fixtures in blue are all dependent on FA Cup results. So for Arsenal, and a lot of us have got double or triple Arsenal left over from double game weeks, playing in game week 30, etc. They will play Southampton away and Chelsea away as long as Man City beat Southampton in the FA Cup. So they'll play Chelsea away regardless, so they're going to have a single game week for sure. They will double against Southampton if Man City beat Southampton in the FA Cup. For Southampton, very similar, they play Burnley away, and then they will play that Arsenal at home fixture if Man City beat Southampton in the FA Cup. If Southampton win that FA Cup game, then Man City will double instead, and Arsenal and Southampton will just have single game weeks, right? Which is why the FA Cup results are so important, because so much could change, and why rolling a transfer this week into game week 30 looks kind of ideal, as I'll talk about towards the end of the video. So yeah, if Man City beat Southampton, Arsenal and Southampton will both double. And right now you'd say Man City are favourites. For Chelsea, they will definitely play Arsenal at home. They will only double, that Leeds away fixture will only be on if Middlesbrough beat Chelsea in the FA Cup, right? So that's unlikely. Therefore, that Leeds game probably won't happen. And if that happens, right, if Chelsea beat Middlesbrough, they'll only have a single game week in 33 against Arsenal. The Leeds game will be off, and Leeds will then blank. So anyone with Rafinha, he then wouldn't play in game week 33. For Liverpool, they'll definitely play Man United. The Villa away game will only be on, and Liverpool will only double in game week 33 if Nottingham Forest beat Liverpool in the FA Cup. So if Liverpool win that as expected, then they'll play Man United in the 33. So they won't blank, but they'll have a single game week. But their Villa game just won't happen, and Villa will blank. Okay? So there's not just doubles, there's also blanks in game week 33. For Man City, they'll definitely play Brighton at home. That's guaranteed. They'll only play Wolves away if Southampton beat them in the FA Cup. Okay, and if that happens, Man City are then doubling. A lot of us don't have. Some people have got 1 or 2 Man City players. A lot of people don't have any. That would be annoying, right? You'd have to suddenly think about how to get Man City players in by game week 33. You might want them anyway, but if they got a double, it gets even more important. So if Southampton beat Man City in the FA Cup, Man City will double against Brighton and Wolves. If Man City win, they'll play Brighton, but they won't double, and Wolves away will be a blank game week, okay? So if you've been following along, there's, let me just go through this again, 5 teams with a guaranteed double, okay? And then if we come on to this screen, Arsenal and Southampton likely to double because we expect Man City to win. And then basically, let me go on to the next bit. Sorry, that's the FA Cup draw. If all the favourites win, so if Chelsea, Man City and Liverpool all win their FA Cup games, okay, which is very likely as it stands because they are pretty good teams against weaker opposition, like Southampton are good, but obviously Man City are better, then this will be the teams that double. Brighton, Burnley, Leicester, Man United, Newcastle, which we know are guaranteed. And then Arsenal and Southampton would also double as well. And then Aston Villa, Leeds and Wolves would all blank. Okay, if Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City all win their FA Cup games. If they don't, then there's different permutations about what might happen. And again, it's all based around this. Okay, so the blue fixtures are the ones you want to, that aren't guaranteed, that are dependent on FA Cup results. Hopefully that made sense. I tried to make it as clear as possible, but it's all, even in my head, I'm trying to get used to it. So if this happens, again, if Chelsea, Man City, Liverpool all win their FA Cup games, then it might be worth starting to think about how you can offload Wolves players, how you can offload the likes of Rafinha from Leeds. You might have Coutinho, Cash, Luka Dean from Aston Villa, etc. Maybe Watkins left over. They've all got a high likelihood of blanking in game week 33. And then the teams on the left would be the ones that would double. So you need to have, like right now it's difficult to plan because we don't know for sure what's going to happen in 33, but we have a good idea. Once the FA Cup results are done, we'll know for sure. And then we can really start planning. So for me right now, if I think about double game week 33, I'll probably get Weghorst for Jimenez. So that gives me a double game weeker in 33 and 31 and gets rid of Jimenez who might blank. I'll probably do Rafinha to a Leicester midfielder, as long as there's one that I think will play regularly. That gets rid of Rafinha, who's blanking, gets me in a Leicester double game week player who also has lots of fixtures to rearrange. Man United is a bit trickier for me. Newcastle have got Dubravka. Arsenal, I've got triple Arsenal, Lacazette, Saka and Tierney. And Southampton, I've still got Broja as well. So that's how you have to think about it. Again, you might want to use a free hit. It's all going to be team dependent. I hate to kind of keep on saying that. So initial thoughts. Leicester are the only team guaranteed a double in game week 33 and have a fixture this week. They are the only team. Now, Arsenal are very likely to have a double in 33, again, based on Man City beating Southampton. But that's not guaranteed. But they are also a team that played this week. So they are probably the 2 teams I'd focus your transfers on. Like if you haven't got triple Arsenal at this point, I do just think they are a good investment regardless. The only thing with Leicester is who do you buy, right? That is the problem. Yes, I'd like, for example, for me, I'd love to maybe offload Luka Dean because he's possibly injured. I don't know when he's going to be back. He might blank in 33 and get someone like Luke Thomas for Leicester. He's cheap, so it'll give me some extra money. It gets me an extra fixture this week, and it gets me a player for 33. But I'm just not sure if he's still definitely going to be playing by game week 33. So they are the only team, but it's difficult to know exactly who to buy. If you're a Leicester fan, let me know below. But I think it's pretty difficult to know. And obviously, like I said, Arsenal are a pretty good team to target. Free hit 33 might be better than free hit 36. I'm not quite sure where I sit on this one yet because, again, all this information is so kind of new. But again, if we come back to this, the guaranteed players, like I quite like maybe 1 or 2 Man United players for 33, but I wouldn't want to necessarily carry them through. And I've got triple Spurs already. I've obviously got double Liverpool as well. If Liverpool win their FA Cup game, they're not doubling. Spurs aren't doubling in 33, so they probably will double in 36 instead. So then I've already got 5 players for game week 36. I could then target Man City players in the meantime, etc. They'd also probably double in 36 as well. And suddenly my squad's looking quite good for there, and maybe not quite as good for game week 33. I think a lot for me would depend on what I'd want to do with my Wolves, Leeds, and Villa players. Because obviously, just because I could free hit them out doesn't mean it's good to keep them. So I'm not quite sure where I sit there, but I think again, trying to roll into game week 31 could be pretty handy to try and then figure out what your plan is. I think making a plan right now is quite hard. But if you've been set on free hit 36, don't be afraid to kind of back out and go for plan B, which was always game week 33 for me. Rolling a transfer this week looks pretty good in most situations, unless you're absolutely sure on the player you're bringing in and they're going to be useful for you for the future. I just wouldn't do it. Like Tony, for example, I spoke about earlier. Now, realistically, if you've only got 9 players and you take out a player that's blanking for Tony, and Tony gets more than 4 points, and even if you have to take a hit later to remove Tony, you're still up on the deal. The problem is I'm just not, like for my team, for example, I'm just not 100% sure if I do Broya to Tony, then okay, I can tell myself it's just a hit later on to reverse that that transfer. But what if it would have made sense to keep the money out of Broya and kind of spend like extra money elsewhere? I think unless you're absolutely sure on what move you're making, rolling looks pretty good this week. It's not going to be great for every single person. Some people will obviously be free hitting as well, but for a lot of people it's going to be good to just get, there's going to be so much information to get after game week 30, and we will know the fixtures for 31 to 33 after this weekend. So after the 30 deadline, but before the game week 31 deadline, and there'll be plenty more content to come during the international break. And obviously wildcard 31, 32 could be back on. I know some people will wait until game week 34 to do it, but depending on how the fixtures fall, it might be worth doing it a little bit earlier. Again, I will explore that a little bit more after game week 30, because again, we're just going to get so much information. So just to end, make sure you go and follow Planet FPL and Ben Crellin on Twitter if you are not already. Ben's obviously got all his spreadsheets and stuff, always tweeting about double game weeks and blanks. Planet FPL do the same, but he also covers it. They cover it a lot on their podcast. The podcast pretty much absolutely nailed what's happening in game week 33 and the fact that Burnley and Everton would double in game week 31 or 32. So James absolutely nailed it. Fair play. If you're not following them, make sure you do. If you haven't already subscribed to this channel as well, make sure you hit subscribe, hit that like button as well. I'll be back with more content for the rest of this week, and we will cover this stuff way more in the international break. For now, I would say, just to summarise, don't panic about it too much. If you can roll a transfer this week, for most people, that is going to be the best plan of action. If you're free hitting, happy days. You don't need to worry about game week 30. You just worry about 31 when it comes around later. Thank you very much for watching. If you've got any initial thoughts and reactions, leave a comment below, and I'll catch you again soon.